All right, let's dive into something. We're going to unpack a 2,000-year-old story that you'll see feels incredibly relevant today. It's a powerful tale about an impossible debt, some truly radical mercy, and a question that might just force us to rethink everything we thought we knew about forgiveness.
I mean, have you ever really been there? That feeling of being wronged, that struggle deep inside to just let go of the anger? It's a universal human thing, right? Forgiveness is so simple to talk about, but man, it is so hard to actually do. And this ancient story, it just gets right to the heart of that struggle.
So our story kicks off with a guy named Peter, one of Jesus' closest followers. And Peter, he's a lot like us. He wanted a clear rule. He was basically looking for a simple, straightforward guideline for one of the absolute messiest parts of life: forgiveness.
So he goes up to Jesus and asks, "Lord, how many times do I have to forgive someone who keeps wronging me? Like 7 times? Is that enough?" Now, 7 might not sound like a huge number to us, but you have to understand Peter really thought he was being generous here.
And here's the context that makes it all click. The common teaching at the time was that you forgave someone 3 times. 3 strikes and they're out. So when Peter suggests 7, he's more than doubling the standard. He's kind of patting himself on the back, thinking, wow, look how incredibly merciful I am.
But Jesus' response just completely flips the script. He doesn't just give Peter a higher number, he gives him a whole new way of looking at the world. He absolutely shatters the entire concept of keeping a tally of wrongs.
So what's the answer? Not 7 times, Jesus says, but 77 times. Some translations even say 70 times 7. But look, the point isn't to get out your calculator. The number is meant to sound impossibly high. It's a number designed to make you just stop counting.
And that right there is the whole point. Jesus isn't setting a new, higher limit. He's getting rid of the limit altogether. He's saying that real forgiveness isn't about doing math. It's a constant state of being. It's an attitude of love, not a transaction you keep track of in a ledger.
To make this big, abstract idea really hit home, Jesus tells a story, a parable, and it's a dramatic one, about a king, a servant who receives this unbelievable mercy, and then, well, what he does next is nothing short of shocking.
The story begins with a servant who owes his king an astronomical sum. We're talking millions, maybe even billions in today's money. It was a life-destroying, completely unpayable debt. As you can see, there was just no way, absolutely no way he could ever pay it back.
So, facing total ruin, the servant falls on his knees and begs the king for more time, making a promise he knows and the king knows he could never, ever keep.
And then, something extraordinary happens. The king, filled with pity, doesn't just give him an extension, he cancels the entire debt. All of it. Millions of dollars. Just gone. Wiped clean. The servant is suddenly completely free.
But this is where the story takes a jaw-dropping turn. That same servant, fresh off being forgiven millions, walks out and finds a fellow servant who owes him a tiny amount. We're talking pocket change. The hypocrisy is just staggering. A massive debt gets completely canceled, but a tiny one, that gets you thrown into prison?
And get this, the second servant makes the exact same plea, using the very same words: "Be patient with me and I will pay you back." You would think, right? You'd think the first servant, having just experienced that kind of mercy, would understand completely.
But no, he refuses. He grabs the man and has him thrown in jail over this tiny amount. Well, as you can imagine, word of this gets back to the king. And that brings us to the powerful final judgment of the story.
The king is furious. He summons the servant he had forgiven and calls him wicked. He just can't believe that someone who had received such immense, incredible mercy could turn around and be so merciless to somebody else.
So what does this all represent? Well, the parable is a powerful metaphor. The king is like God. That unpayable, astronomical debt symbolizes our own mistakes and shortcomings. And the message? It's crystal clear. If we've been forgiven an immense debt, we are expected to forgive the much, much smaller debts owed to us.
So what does this all mean for us, right here, right now? How does this ancient story from thousands of years ago actually apply to our modern lives, our complicated relationships, and our own very real struggles with forgiveness?
This verse here really boils down the core principle. The motivation for our forgiveness isn't that the other person deserves it or that we've hit some kind of quota. The motivation is meant to be gratitude. We forgive because we ourselves have been forgiven.
Ultimately, what the story teaches is that forgiveness isn't just a transaction we complete. It's a reflection of a deeper reality. It's about living with a constant awareness of the grace we've been shown, and then extending that same grace to other people. It's a fundamental change of heart, not just a change of mind.
And that brings us to our final thought. The story ends with a warning to forgive others from the heart. So the question it really leaves us with is this: what does that actually look like? What's the real difference between just saying the words, "I forgive you," and truly letting go of that debt from the very core of who we are?